Greetings, this is Griff Ruby, the Nostalgic Catholic, with another Isaac Asimov story that he puts in the Boy's Life issue, the September 1982 Boy's Life. And this story is called Lucky Seven. We have a little blurb about this in the front here. You can see it's on page 36. I'll read the blurb. And it goes, 7, like in the old clock. Those words were the only clue to the location of the missing stamp by Isaac Asimov. So let's go to page 36. Now we have a very nice artwork here, illustrated by Al Parker. Let's take a look at this nice picture. So there's 7. You can see the hand of the clock like it's 7 o'clock. There he is. Kind of a nice intellectual picture. Sort of reminiscent of the look of my own boy. That's pretty good at about roughly equivalent age. And so he had to run somewhere. That's why you see him running. More about running next story. And I'm not sure what the little blue with the yellow dots is. Oh, those are the headlights of the car. I see. Okay. Anyway, so what's this latest one? Well, he's at home doing his homework, and his dad, the main professional detective with the police force, but this is Larry the detective. Yes, Larry the detective. He hears a little discussion between his dad and a visiting teacher by the name of Mrs. Halperin, who came to see her. Mrs. Halperin's husband stole a stamp. I guess they felt they weren't going to get enough Social Security, which, given that they were teachers or something, schools have pensions, don't they? So you're not just on Social Security. But I don't know. Maybe it was different in 1982. I don't know. I haven't heard it. From what I understood, teachers and other school staff do have pensions of a sort. How great they are, I don't know, but they do have them. And if you've been there long enough that you have a tenure and you serve, a good long career, and you retire at 60, mid whatever, and so forth, with many, 30, 40 something years as a teacher, I would suspect you would probably have a fairly reasonable pension on top of Social Security. But apparently, Mr. Halperin felt there wasn't going to be enough money, so he stole a rare stamp. And when they were in a movie theater, the detail was so barely mentioned I had to read the story a couple of times to even discover that fact. He decided to hide it. He kind of knew, okay, they'll let him finish the movie, but when he comes out, they're going to grab it. He comes out, and he hasn't got the stamp on him, and nobody can figure out where it is. But Mrs. Halperin doesn't want, it's already known that he stole it. He's going to go to jail. And the only thing he can say as they're hauling him off to jail is he says, 7, like in the old clock. That's his clue. Well, this is one of those things where you got a vague clue. It could mean so many different things. I mean, just so many. Okay, you get an old clock. It's got hands on it. The hands are in a position like that when it is 7 o'clock. Whether it's 7 in the morning or 7 in the evening, he doesn't care. 7 o'clock or thereabout, maybe a few minutes after if this picture's anything to go by. Anyway, maybe that's to indicate something that's kind of straight down that direction. Maybe it's, well, if you have an old clock, sometimes they don't put the digit 7 as we're normally used to. Sometimes they put, especially those old Roman numerals, they'll go VII. VII. Maybe that's the clue. Apparently, and this is what Larry the detective figures out, he comes up with an idea. And while Dad and Mrs. Halperin are talking about this and And he's trying to console her and cheer her up and tell her, well, we'll see what we can do, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what we can do. And can you think of anything that could mean? And I can't think of anything. Larry, meanwhile, decides he's got an idea. It is, of course, the right one. Larry, the detective, is very smart. And he seems to be able to figure out what is specifically intended by a message that can be so vague. It can mean a lot of different things. He gets it right on what seems to be the first guess. Inside the theater, actually, like I said, he barely hinted at it, but that's where this was. He got rid of it. He hid it somewhere. What does VII mean? What can that tell you about where in the theater that might be? Larry the detective figures it out where it is. The stamp is in an envelope, stuck to someplace. I won't tell you where it is. You'll have to read the story if you want to know. I have to save something for reading the story. It was stuck there with a bit of bubble gum. Presumably, while the movie was showing and he knows somebody out there's waiting for him, he went up to the front part where they had the popcorn and all the other stuff, got some gum, used the gum to put the stamp, which I guess was already in a little envelope or something, and stuck it someplace. Which I find a little interesting. Now, this is 1982. Did movie theaters sell gum inside? I mean, they'll sell chocolate, they'll sell licorice, popcorn, of course, drinks. But gum, I'm not sure that'd be a good idea, and I can think of two reasons. Even if there might well have been a time when movie theaters did sell you gum as one of their little things you could buy, in days of more innocent ignorance, perhaps. Maybe they did when Asimov was himself a young person. I don't know. I can think of two good reasons that a movie theater would not sell gum, even while they're selling all these other various candies and nuts and chips, and of course popcorn and drinks. And that is the two reasons. One, if you're chewing gum, you're not eating anything else. So you're not going to buy that box of M&Ms or that big cup full of salted buttered popcorn or anything else, because you're even to drink, because you got this gum in your mouth all the time. The second reason is at some point you may decide to spit it out. Now, maybe back in the old days when Asimov was young, people were more respectful of places. You dressed up to go to the movies, and it was something you spend a lot of time doing. And obviously you would treat the place with respect. If you did have gum that you were done chewing, maybe you saved the wrapper and you put it in the wrapper, and on the way out you throw it in the trash. Or you'll just chew it until you're on the way out and spit it into the trash, or take it with you all the way home, or whatever. You don't leave it. We now live in crass times where people don't see movie theaters this way. What would somebody do if they spat out gum? It ends up on the floor, and then somebody has to scrape it off. Which, yes, there are ways to do that require high pressure water that you're not going to machines that you're not going to bring into a movie theater. Meaning you have all this gum all over the floor, old sticky, black, yucky pieces of gum that have been there and people have stepped on, and you don't want that in a theater, and that will happen. So no, they don't sell gum. But in the story, they sold gum, and he used the gum as an adhesive to hold a little envelope with a stamp inside, somewhere in the theater. As I said, I leave it to you to read the story to find out where. The story, however, does occur in The Disappearing Man and Other Stories by Isaac Asimov. It's a nice little book full of Larry the Detective stories, and I think it's a good read. Thank you for listening.